My name is Wix Baptiste. My role here is to be the theatre advisor. I was approached by Sally if I would want to be involved with this production, and I kind of thought about it for a while because I was at the time doing my own show, and I didn't actually think that I can fit it in. But luckily, as things turned out, I was able to do so. My kind of role, the way I kind of see things at the moment, is having to come in as more of a consultant. My background is first and foremost theatre. I've been doing this kind of work now for over 30 years of my life, and I've kind of worked in various theatres, done various films, etc., etc., etc. And the way I see my position, it's a bit like taking the director, in this case Sally, to a museum. And if Sally's passionate about Egyptian culture, and I'm there with her at this museum, seeing this Egyptian culture and seeing all the things that goes with it, she'll be so excited about what's in front of her, there are certain things that she'll miss. And then when we leave, for example, when we leave the museum, and I will say to Sally, or the director, did you happen to see so-and-so? They're going to go, no. And I'll say, well, actually, you missed it. It was back there. She will then say, well, why didn't you tell me? So if you put that into the contents of what I do, it's about pointing things out. It's about making things visible. Coming in as a consultant, I'm able to kind of say, that's all very well, but I think you find if the actors are situated there, we're not going to see them, or if the actors are going to be under a certain balcony, it'll be difficult to light. But certainly when the show begins, I'll be backstage, I'll be doing stage management, which really is like the anchor of any production backstage, because the director needs to know that she's in safe hands. She needs to know that what goes on that stage is going to be done professionally, without any hiccups at all. It's a ship, isn't it? And it's got to be run smoothly. And someone like the stage manager, the DSM, even the chaperones, they've all got their parts to play. So my thinking, whenever I do a production, it's never about one person. Never is. It's a team effort. That is my role as the stage manager backstage and theatre consultant on this production of Gormenghast. Because of my background, I've been very fortunate to have been involved with theatre at a very, very young age. To be fair, theatre was never anything I wanted to get into. I love films. I love the idea of films. And as a young boy, seeing my first film, I was fascinated by it. And I've done a few films. I've made my own films as a result of that. But you know what? My passion really is, I do enjoy writing. And when you have a very active imagination, stories just appear, and it just appears, and you just feel the need to say, this is a really good idea. It's like a eureka moment. I've got to capture this, I've got to hold this. And you just put it onto pen and paper and watch the whole thing develop in the rehearsal space. Yeah, so writing is certainly something I'm quite passionate about. Directing is something I'm very passionate about as well. And of course, art as well. So when you put these three things together and you put them in the theatre, for some bizarre reason, it lives here. It settles in the theatre. This is the place for it. So I'm very, very lucky to have this imagination, to actually be surrounded with people who are able to show and manufacture the things that I create. How I got involved with Gormenghast was through the lighting designer. Sam basically approached me and said she knows somebody who's looking for someone to stage managed. But I said, okay, I'll obviously meet them, see what it's like. I asked the question, are they professional? Is it a paid gig? Is it amateur? So I kind of looked at that and said, well, I'm able to help you do that. And then I did some drawings of the set, and then we kind of looked at it and looked at a way of making it work. I've been seeing the scale of this production and who's involved and the people who are involved in it. My time is far better spent involved in doing a production like this, which is going to be, I think, a world premiere anyway. And certainly with my expertise and my qualifications, I think it's best to try and sort of leap onto this fleet and make sure that it sails correctly. So when I'm not here, I do work at schools, and I enjoy working with young people, although it's an all-girls school, which is ridiculously challenging. We do all kinds of plays, and sometimes, to be honest with you, forget the girls, because they do play plenty of boys as well. I think that the worrying thing is the one with deep voices, but that's another story. Some of the favourite things I've done, I think, doing a production at the National Theatre. I mean, that was comforting. Doing open air productions, I mean, they're always quite good. As an actor or as a designer, they're quite good. And of course, I spent most of my time working at the Royal and Derngate. and doing many shows there, as ranging from pantomimes to classical ballet to opera to the Gilbert and Sullivan. I actually left in 2008 with the premises to kind of pursue other things. And this is a prime example. If I was still working at the Royal, I certainly wouldn't be here at all. So hence the reason why I wanted to kind of branch out. But I mean, I've also been a director. I've directed open air productions. I've done film work on Harry Potter. I've done stuff on Gladiators and things like that. I enjoy films, but I also enjoy. I think I enjoy doing theatre work, because when you start a project, that's when you see the whole thing develop. Whereas film, you take it once, twice, and you move on. You haven't got a chance to go back and correct it. My last big directorial thing was when I directed Peter Pan at the Decca in Northampton, working with A-list actors from EastEnders. And I can tell you now, I do not want to do that again, because it was not a pleasant experience. When you're working with A-list celebrities with egos, wasn't a good production. This environment it's more relaxed, and you don't feel that you're under any pressure when you're working with groups like this. I think the way to sell yourself or to sell a product, especially when it's a production that no one's heard of. I say no one's heard of it. Most people would not have heard of Carabosse. You say you're doing things like West Side Story, everybody's heard of West Side Story. You know what I mean? Grease, people have heard of Grease, but when you say you're doing Carabosse, a lot of people don't know it. So I think it's also, I genuinely believe that as an actor and as a director, it's about trusting the director. As an actor, trust the director and believe in the director, and seeing that the director is more or less, she's passionate about what she's doing. And once that passion comes out, then I think it touches people, and that's how you get involved.